Okay, I hope you've had some success with your tapered stroke and your tracking exercise. You'll need to really understand how to do those before we move on to this demonstration. This is going to be the gradation patches, and instead of having an individual stroke, we're going to start building off of that one stroke, laying them side by side, and come up with a range of value that we'll call a gradation patch. I want to see the greatest range of value I possibly can within the darkest value that you can create with that pencil by, again, tracking and gradually letting the value increase to all the way out to where you're going to not see where it really ends. This is really important so that we can start seeing contour and curve and have an opportunity for blending and a transition area. We're also going to work on the leading edge, which we'll call a dimensional edge. I want the value to become that initial line anyway. I want that line that you lead off with to become an edge to your value so that we don't really see it anymore as it gets incorporated into the value for your pencil. We're going to work again with each individual one, and I want you to be able to see the differences between each pencil as we go along too. So I want you to really consider going back and practicing this from time to time. It's going to be an excellent exercise to continue polishing your skill and to just keep you on the cutting edge. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to do the gradation patches. Okay, now as we've discussed with the tapered stroke, we want to already be going in the right direction before we ever land on the paper. We're going to shorten this stroke up a little bit. Learning the tapered stroke, you could take a little longer line, and it gave you the feel of that swooping on and off your paper, that just landing that airplane and taking off, that grazing of the surface. But we'll shorten this up, and as we continue getting better and better at it, we'll be able to actually do a 1/4 inch if we want to, where we are still going to be able to see that taper at each end. So let's go ahead and begin with that initial stroke. I don't want to press too hard. I want to just start very lightly. Now I'm going to use that tracking exercise. I want to gradually see it build up to its full value and to keep that leading edge as sharp as I can. And when I feel I've gotten the full value, which we'll have to test, we'll have to go ahead and use our eraser to see if we really are putting too much on there for this intended pencil. Because remember, this is our hardest and lightest pencil we have. So I want to be able to now start moving away from that leading edge. And as I do, I will just stay less and less time in one place. I won't linger as long. And I will actually start lightening up on the pressure. Now, as I go away, I do not want to see that leading line anymore. I want to have it become truly an edge to my value. And so this is going to really be important that I go back in if I have to and just take a little stroke. I want to be able to have the control to put that pencil where I want. Remember, we're always working with a sharp point. That's going to be the first thing we're going to want to make sure we have is a sharp pencil. And as we move away, it's inevitable, though, that every once in a while you're going to maybe have a gap. I hope that this is a dark enough pencil that you're going to be able to see that gap. But if I am going to see that gap, I'm going to want to fill that gap. And if I fill it, I'm going to want to be able to reach in accurately and just take a stroke through there and know that I can put it where I want. Again, we're going to want a sharp pencil, and we're going to want to know where we're holding this. But if I'm going to be able to accurately put that pencil right in the void, in the white space, and know that I can have that kind of control, I'm going to want to know where I'm holding my pencil. If I can't put it in that space, and I'm putting it on something previously drawn and just making that darker instead, then I want probably just a little more control. You'll notice that I'm back here on the Flow and Grace upper half of my pencil. And this is again what I call the Flow and Grace half, and this is the control half. But Remember, I may want just enough control to put that flow and grace stroke where I want. I don't want to sacrifice this and this nice flow and make it look forced. But I may have to move this just a little bit and find out if that made the difference in being able to put that stroke where I want it. So I suggest that you find that place on your pencil that best helps you control it without sacrificing too much of your flow and grace, because if I start coming down here, I'm going to defeat the whole purpose, and I'm going to have so much control that there won't be any flow and grace at all. So I want to be able to be back here and know that I can put that right in the proper place. And I want to continue coming out and making it lighter and lighter and lighter as I go. Okay, now also I'm going to, as in the tracking exercise, I'm going to want to be able to have the heel of my hand down here and have it be stable so that it doesn't move around. My fingers, again, are the only thing that's pivoting on this imaginary pin that goes down through my hand and into the table. So I want my fingers to swing on that and not have to be moving my hand back and forth on the paper. It could be that it's humid and that it will stick to your paper, and that would be very herky-jerky, inconsistent movement, or you will be moving more muscles even if it did slide well on the paper, and it is not going to be the way to really have success with this stroke. So I'm going to want to know that I can put that where I want by just moving ever so slightly towards the control. Now if I have it out on this end and I wanted to put it in that gap, I wouldn't be able to if I had too much flow and grace, because I have no stability to this. There's no way to control it. And I would actually have maybe some bouncing going on and some of those things. And we'll approach that in a little bit. Let's continue on with this good one to show you how to do an ideal one. Okay, let's go back to filling the gaps. I want to show you that the top edge, because we're using our tapered stroke and we're putting them side by side, the top edge should become soft. We're going to extend this out maybe up to 1/2 inch. The thing I don't want to have happen is to have my hand become cramped and just extend this a little too far. But I don't want to have it become just this narrow little band. But maybe I can help you see what I mean a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get the full range, as dark as it's intended to go, going lighter and lighter and lighter. We don't want to have to fuss around with it too much, and we want to be able to put that pencil in the gaps as we go and have this fade away so that we don't really see where it stops. That's the main goal. And I want to be able to have the bottom edge soft as well. So we're going to end up with 3 soft sides. Nothing wrong with reaching back in as long as you're not making a darker line and you're able to control the amount of pressure you're putting on it. Okay, so there is our gradation patch. We're going to go ahead and mark this so that we can clearly see what each pencil individually is going to look like as far as value. Let's go ahead and move on to our 2H pencil. Every time we go to a softer pencil, we should be able to see a little increase in value. And you'll notice that these are kind of diagonal. I want to be able to recognize my stroke. Again, you're going to see how this is utilized later. I want you to really notice what is your stroke. What is the angle? I've lingered long enough to get the full value of that pencil, and now I'm going to start staying in one place less and less and less. If I see a gap, I'm going to go back and find out where that place is on my pencil. Now I see a couple opportunities that maybe we can utilize the eraser too. Remember, we want to be able to utilize our eraser with this sharp, this narrow end to it. We'll have an opportunity again to get it out here far enough with the light shining into our hand and into our work that we can just touch it onto the paper and be able to lift off something that may be just a little bit too dark. I really want you to practice this though, so that you aren't going in there later when you have a picture that just needs a little touch up and end up by causing yourself more work than it's worth to lighten up a dot you went too far. It's going to happen, but I want you to really get sensitive to the pressure. So let's go ahead and now take our pencil back into those voids. Maybe I'll doodle just a little bit just to take up some of those little inconsistent places, equalize them, neutralize it, and continue on out here finishing up that edge. Remember, the idea is we want to have this fade away until we don't really see where it stops. So we have 3 transitional edges and one that's very clean with the full value without showing the lead line. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take our HB. Every time we go up to the next pencil, we should see it get slightly darker. But also, because we're going to a softer pencil, we'll probably see a little more grain. It'll be a little more difficult all the time to make it as smooth as the one that we started out with, which was our 4H. Linger long enough to get the full value of that pencil. Try and get the lead line, the lead edge as clean as we can, but remembering to land softly, to take off softly, to gradually lighten up on the pressure, to spend less time in one place, and see that value get softer and softer and softer. Now, one of the things again about the soft pencil is every time you hit the paper, the possibility of it looking darker and more contrasting with the paper is definitely there. So it gets more and more necessary to really become sensitive to the amount of pressure you're putting on your paper with the pencil. It'll really teach you to back off. We're rarely ever going to use a pencil like this because we're actually going to start putting them all together and putting one over the top of another. But for right now, I want you to really get used to what you're going to come up with using each one individually. I want you to just let this end softly. And have it become as gradual as possible. Okay, let's go up to the 2B. Oh, we need to mark these, don't we? Now we're going to want to do the 2B. Remember, it's going to be softer, so it's going to be darker and a little grainier. Every time we go up to a softer, darker pencil, the tendency is going to be showing more of the tooth, more of the little white pits in the paper. Remember, I want to start off with a good point on my pencil. I want to be able to linger long enough to get the full value intended for that pencil without pressing any harder. Remember, that's part of this exercise, is being able to see the increase as we go and realize that we're not pressing any harder. It should only look darker because of the pencil we're using. I really want to try to just feather this out, even with this darker, softer pencil, and not really bring attention to where it stops. Just doodle a little bit to fill a couple of the voids, get right back to my nice tapered stroke. Okay, now let's take our 4B. This is really going to be a challenge. Here's my leading edge. You notice that all my angles are just pretty consistent because I'm standardizing how I'm approaching my paper. I'm sitting in the same position. I have a sharp pencil, so I want to be able to still land this softly, linger in one place long enough to get the full value, and as I start pulling away, I'll stay in that place less and less time, and actually lighten up on the pressure I have on my pencil too. Gets harder and harder to end that softly because this is such a dark pencil. Just do the best you can. Now that we have all the patches done, one for each pencil, we should be able to see incrementally the lightest, a little darker with the 2H, a little darker with the HB. Looks like we better label these so we know what we're talking about. It's exactly what I want you to do so you can quickly see the what pencil you're looking at for that value. So the 2B and the 4B. And again, the 4B is a little coarser. You can see a lot more of the little pits in the paper from the little valleys in the tooth, in between the spaces in between the tooth, and then it'll get gradually softer and more refined the harder the pencil is at the beginning. So that's the ideal, and that's your patch exercise. I'm going to go on and show you some things that can go wrong because I want you to have an opportunity to troubleshoot and to be able to recognize where you need to make some adjustments. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a few that will show you some of the problems you can run into.